Hey guys, here is part 6 for What If Goku Was Abandoned and Betrayed. Goku now thinks, after seeing Gohan, and he realizes that half Saiyans have a lot more power. And he now thinks, if Gohan has this much power since he's a half Saiyan, why don't I have more children so that I will have a more fierce army behind me? So he then decides to become a polygamous man and have more than one wife that he has, with Launch still staying as his main wife. So now we see Goku meeting Android 18, who was one of Dr. Jiro's most recent androids, since Dr. Jiro did work for Goku since Goku was a king of Earth. And Goku then marries her. On top of this, he marries a few more people like Chi-Chi and Bulma. And then he now has around 4 children in the scenario, with Gohan and Trunks being the oldest ones and the most powerful. So now Goku says, "My children, you will become the leaders of this universe along my side. So I open up this hyperbolic time chamber to all of you. Keep training, become strong, and I expect all of you to become more powerful than me. And once you do become this powerful, I will give you each different sections of the universe to control, and we will show our power." To which they all say, "Yes, Father, we will do as you ask." So now, after this, we now see Goku taking his children into the time chamber and teaching them all the Super Saiyan forms. And what shocks him is they all learn it extremely fast, since they all have a very high potential. And in the meantime, after training them, Goku, after this, I would say around 6 months have passed, and the Elder Kai has finished training Vegeta and Nappa. And he says, he talks about how King Kai was kidnapped and forced to live in planet Earth as a slave. So since they want to save King Kai, since he is one of their comrades, they then go and decide to launch the attack against Goku and his army. So now Goku then realizes that since he killed Frieza, that means that now he can take over Frieza's empire. And he says, "Let me begin that." And he sends his children to start conquering every single planet that used to belong to Frieza. And he takes over the Ginyu Force and all the other armies. And this makes him stronger than ever before. And he even sees Ginyu's body change technique, and so that he can never get double crossed by Ginyu, Goku wishes on Shenron to make sure that he can never be affected by body stealing techniques or abilities. To which Shenron says, "Your wish is done, Goku." So now Goku then takes his fighters to train in the hyperbolic time chamber. This is Raditz, Paragus, Broly, and Shenron, and they train in the time chamber for 3 years, making them on a whole other level of power. I would say now that they're even in their base forms, they're twice as powerful as Super Saiyan 3 Goku. On top of this, all of them have mastered Super Saiyan 2, and they can even stack the base Kaioken on top of it. But it's extremely draining, and they can only do this for 5 minutes at a time. So now, while they all enter a spaceship to establish their new empire, they get intercepted by the Supreme Kai of the planet and Vegeta and Nappa. And I think you guys would assume that Vegeta and Nappa are weaker than the Saiyans in this scenario. But no, they had gotten their potential unlocked by the the Elder Kai. On top of this, what nobody knew was that they had contracted Whis and mirrors to come in once in a while to train Vegeta and Nappa, meaning that now they actually have access to divine ki. And on top of this, Whis talks about how if everything else fails, Beerus is supposed to wake up in the next 1 year to end things once and for all. So now Goku decides to take on Vegeta. Meanwhile, the other three Saiyans decide to take on Nappa. And Shenron decides that he will not interfere with Goku's fights or the fight of the other Saiyans. So he resigns himself in the ship for meditation. But remember, since Shenron is linked to Goku, Shenron has the exact same power level as Goku, which makes him an extremely strong fighter. So now what happens is Goku and Vegeta launch into ferocious battle. Vegeta now uses his ultimate form, and on top of this, he doesn't hold back. So he mixes in his Super Saiyan Blue power with his mystic form, giving him a significant boost. And Goku then decides that he will use his Super Saiyan 3 form, and he'll stack Kaioken on top of it, since he just recently learned Super Saiyan 3. As they're in battle, they seem evenly matched until Vegeta uses around 70% of his power and dramatically overpowers Goku. But since Goku is immortal, Goku keeps getting Zenkai boosts and coming back up. So Vegeta decides, I have to end this with one strike, and he pulls out a Z sword that was meant to seal people who were extremely powerful, and he slices Goku. Goku laughs and says, was that supposed to do something to me? But his eyes turn to shock as he gets pulled closer and closer into the sword, and it seals him inside. Vegeta now smiles in triumph, saying, how the mighty have fallen. Enjoy your new home, Kakarot. As Vegeta then flies off to help his friend Nappa. Nappa was very strong in his own right, but was getting beaten up by the three Saiyans. So he too decides to unleash some of his power and goes up to 100%. And since Nappa does have Mystic and he does have Super Saiyan Blue, his power level is much higher than the three Saiyans combined. And Nappa easily defeats them since they only have Super Saiyan 2 and not Super Saiyan 3, which Kakarot had. So now, since they were all beaten, this leaves the other Saiyans returning back to planet Earth, while Vegeta and Nappa take Goku to the sacred world of the Kais and they seal him there. And now that means that the Saiyans are gonna have to find a way to rescue Goku from these Saiyans from the other people who took Goku, and they have to prepare for the foe, which is Beerus, who is coming in the span of 1 year from now. So Shenron hears what just happened, and he is seated inside of the spaceship, and he senses that Goku has been sealed. But Shenron says, is this supposed to be scary? Since I have the ability I have the same power as Goku, I will simply just train myself, and every piece of training that I do makes Goku stronger. So they think they've stopped Goku, but really they have done nothing in his conquest. So since Shenron was made from Goku, since Goku created the Dragon Balls in this scenario, when Shenron gets more powerful, Goku becomes more powerful, and also when Goku becomes more powerful, Shenron becomes more powerful, since their powers are linked together. So now Shenron, since he is an immortal dragon, since Goku is immortal, he walks into the hyperbolic chamber and he then practices in unlocking God Key. And he then finds out from the Namekian Book of Legend that anyone can unlock God Key if they train using the same method, the method that Whis used to teach by using a divine form of training. So Shenron enters the time chamber for 1 whole year, and even though it takes him a very long time, he unlocks God Key for the first time, making him very powerful. Now, when Shenron flexes this power, all the way in the planet of the Kais, Goku can feel how strong he has become. And he says, "This restraint will hold me no longer." And he then flexes his power from inside of the Z-Sword. And this power is amazingly strong. And it cracks the Z-Sword. Vegeta's in shock. He says, "Nappa, what's happening? Supreme Kai. The sword is cracked. What does this mean?" And just as they're thinking, Goku escapes the Z-Sword and says, My, that would have done it for me if I didn't plan for such situations. So now let's settle this problem, why don't we? As Goku then exacts his revenge on all of them, and he kills he kills Nappa, Vegeta, and just when he's about to kill the Supreme Kai, Beerus walks up and deflects Goku's blast. And Beerus says, "Might you be the Saiyan that has been causing a lot of stress for my comrades?" And Goku doesn't have anything against Beerus in this scenario, since Beerus is not a Kai, and Beerus has not done anything to Goku personally for him to hate him. So Goku respectfully says, "I see that you're Lord Beerus, are you not?" And Lord Beerus says, "Yes, I am." Then Goku explains his motive for all of this. And Beerus tricks Goku, and he says, "That's understandable. Come with me and we'll talk some more about it." And since Goku trusted Beerus for some reason, he then decides to listen to Beerus. But when Goku had his head turned, he felt a hand pressing on his back. As he looks behind him, and he sees Beerus say, "Hakai." And Goku feels himself being erased from existence. So, as Goku seemingly gets destroyed and erased to dust, Beerus says, "That's enough of that weak monkey. Let's go, Whis. I have food to eat." And just as Beerus is turning around, he feels something cut his cheek, and he sees a fully formed Goku in front of him. And Goku says, "I know that Hakais can't kill immortal beings. That's one of the reasons I continue to be immortal." And this makes Beerus worried, as he knows he has no way of killing Goku. And on top of this, Goku then gets an evil smirk and says, "So you too planned to betray me and kill me? Well, it can't be helped. The only person I will trust is myself and the comrades in my army. So since you two decided to betray me, you are my foe, and I will kill you for what you have done." As Goku then unleashes his Super Saiyan Blue transformation. And this is insane. This is a Goku who has been training for 20 years. And on top of this, he has been training in the hyperbolic time chamber for another 20 years. And remember, Goku is immortal, so he trained himself to the brink of death. He survived, then he trained himself to the brink again, since he was immortal. And on top of this, he has been using Zenkai boosts on top of each other, which means that Goku in this scenario is a whole different monster when he uses Super Saiyan Blue. And Goku doesn't have to worry about things like strain from Kaioken's, so he decides he's gonna finish this quickly, as he then uses Kaioken times 50, since his body does not take any damage since he is immortal. And as he says this, Beerus now realizes that this foe is one he simply cannot beat. Goku pounds and bullies Beerus. Beerus tries using Ultra Instinct, but it doesn't help him. Goku simply overpowers Beerus no matter what he does. Every time Beerus would become stronger, Goku would just say Kaioken times 55, Kaioken times 60. But at some point, even Goku did find his limit at Kaioken times 60, since his immortality cannot keep up with the damage that he was doing to his body. So even though Goku would not die, it did take him extremely long to regenerate. So since Goku was taking damage at this point, he then stayed at Kaioken times 55 and continued pummeling Beerus to a pulp. And as Beerus lies there at the brink of death, Goku then says, "So I'm assuming this is the Z-sword that you guys used to seal me before? Well, I wished for my own type of Z-sword. So Beerus, how about you and your Supreme Kai get a bit of your own medicine?" As he then seals Beerus and the Supreme Kai inside of the Z-sword, making sure that only he has the key to releasing them. So now, what happens is, he tells Whis, for killing this destroyer, I now demand to take his place. And on top of this, I will have Broly as my Supreme Kai. Since Whis has to acknowledge Goku's power, since he did kill Beerus, Whis allows Goku to become the new destroyer of Universe 7. So, Goku then resurrects the Saiyans and makes them his slaves. Then, Goku feels satisfied as he has now proven that he's the strongest in the multiverse. In the universe, as he then knocks destroyer powers, and he feels satisfied until one thought creeps up in his mind. He can just take over the whole multiverse, and he will become the most respected and feared person in the whole of the 12 universes. As one coy smile creeps over Kakarot's face, as he then asks Whis to train him in the powers of Ultra Instinct. And as Goku does this, he now becomes the third most powerful person in the whole of the multiverse. The first is obviously Zeno, the second is his bodyguards, and the third is Goku. By training for all these years, and pushing himself to the brink, he has even surpassed the Grand Priest and mastered Ultra Instinct. The last thing that he has to do is to simply find a way to destroy the Omni King. But something shocks Goku. He becomes friends with the Omni King and tells Zeno all his problems. And Zeno seems very understanding, and he says, My, that wasn't fun at all. Well, don't worry, we're friends, right? If anyone's causing you problems, just call me, and I'll make sure that everything will be okay. And this makes Goku smile, as he realizes that he actually made friends with someone who won't betray him. So, Goku then decides that he will not kill the Omni King. And the Omni King then says, Goku is now my second in command. You will all take orders from Goku, and he will be my second in command, basically, as he is my best friend. So now Goku then expands his empire throughout the multiverses and makes sure to improve mortal levels so that Zeno is satisfied. And all over the universes, he becomes acknowledged as the strongest in existence. So this is where I'll be leaving it off for now, unless you guys will want one more part. So if you guys want one more part, you guys can comment it, and then I'll decide, since I have one more idea to give Goku his hardest battle yet. But this is also a suitable ending part, so it just depends if you guys like this what if enough, or if you're tired of it. So thank you for watching, and have a good day. Bye.